All of your money in your bank account is actually more risky than it is safe. Now, I get it. Most Americans don't have $1,000 to protect them against an emergency. That's not who I'm talking about. I have plenty of videos on my channel where I go over how you can save your first $1,000, and I'll link that for you down in the description. But many people, including many of you, have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars sitting in your bank account earning 0.4% in interest a year, which means the $12,000 you have sitting in your savings account is going to buy you less stuff 12 months from now because your savings are not going to grow as fast as the prices of things because of inflation. And this matters more than ever today because the Federal Reserve Bank, which is the central bank here in the United States, just started cutting interest rates again, which means the interest rate that you're going to be paid by your bank on your savings is going to be dropping while the prices of things are going to continue rising, maybe even faster than before. But not anymore, because in this video I'm going to show you how to save your money strategically. That way you can continue growing your wealth despite the inflation happening. So let's break it all down. When you have
This is very true. I'm curious to see his approach on this, but yeah, I've often said this for years, but I'm curious to get another perspective on it. So let's see. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe.
extra money, you can save it in the form of cash or you can save it in the form of assets. Now, every financial advisor, every accountant is going to lose their minds when I tell you this, but I'm not going to categorize these cash savings accounts as investments. That way you can understand the difference. Now, when I say saving your money in cash, that means putting your money in something like a savings account or a checking account, putting your money into a bank CD, otherwise known as a certificate of deposit, putting your money into a high yield savings account, putting your money into a treasury, that means lending your money to the United States government, or putting your money into a treasury ETF, or putting your money into a secret spot, like under your mattress or a sock drawer. What you're doing here is not actually buying something that's working to grow in value. You're putting your money into a thing that's going to generate you some interest, except you're not going to get any interest when you put your money in your sock drawer. So you put your money into the bank account, and then the bank is going to pay you a little bit of interest. How much interest are we talking? Well, the average savings account in the United States today is paying 0.4% a year in interest. The average CD is paying 1.34% at the time I'm recording this video. The average high-yield savings account is paying around 4%. The average treasury, two-year treasury, is paying 3.5% a year, and a short-term treasury ETF is paying around that 4 to 4.4% a year in interest at the time we're recording this video, and your sock drawer is paying 0. Now, what you also need to remember about these treasuries and treasury ETFs is you're lending your money to the United States government. So there's two things you have to understand. Number one, because you're generating income from the United States government, this interest that you're getting here is not going to be taxable at the state and local level generally. So some people, especially people that are more tax savvy, will use these as ways to generate income and pay less money in taxes. And the second thing you have to remember is that these accounts are not FDIC insured because you're not putting your money in a bank. So here, when you put your money into a bank, whether it's a high yield account, a CD, or a savings account, you have FDIC protection, which means if the bank were to go bankrupt, your money is protected up to $250,000. Beyond that, well, it's not necessarily protected, although we've seen government bailouts happen in the past.
So far, there's nothing that I disagree with him on. I mean, he's been fairly accurate. I mean, yeah, it's, to me, this is common knowledge, but maybe it's not. This video got quite a bit of views, so that's why I'm reacting to it. And yeah, it's nothing really profound here yet. So if for those of you who don't know, please don't just store all of your money in a bank. You want that money to go earn you some money. So let's see what else he says.
When you invest your money into a treasury, now you don't have that FDIC protection, but it's backed by the United States government. So if the United States government were to default and not pay back their bills, you wouldn't get your money back. But that's probably not going to happen, at least not in the short term. Instead, what the government is more likely to do is work with the central bank, the Federal Reserve Bank, to print money to pay back their bills, which means you'll get the money back. It just might not be worth as much money as before. All of that gets a little bit more technical, but the whole idea here is that the difference between these and these is here with treasuries, you're not actually putting your money in a bank. You're lending your money to the United States government, and you're protected by the United States government. Here you're putting your money into a bank and you're protected by the FDIC insurance, which is also backed by the United States government. Now, while this interest sounds great, you need to compare the interest that you're getting on your money with the inflation rate in the United States. The reported inflation rate at the time we were recording this video is right around 3% a year, which means on average, according to the reported numbers, the prices of things are going up by around 3%. Now, the key thing I want you to understand about this.
Tough part is, this is another reason too, just a side note here. If you're getting a 3% raise at work, while that's obviously great, it's essentially wiped out. It's null. If inflation's up 3% and you get a 3% bump, you're really not ahead. You're just kind of at the same spot. You're stalling out. So just something to keep in mind. I don't know if this is the best time to advocate for yourself for more money, just being that there's a lot of people in the job market right now, but maybe you could ask for a cost of living increase too, which would make you a little bit more of an elevation, but just something to keep in mind.
Is number one, if you are growing your money at a rate less than this, that means effectively you are becoming poorer.
That's true.
Because your money is growing, but it's not growing at the rate as the prices of things. So prices of things are getting more expensive faster than your money is growing. So you have your money in your savings account and it's not growing fast enough to keep up with inflation, so you're slowly becoming poorer. The second thing you want to understand is this reported inflation number might not be your real inflation number, because maybe you spend more money on groceries and your rent and your car than other people. And the inflation rate that many people feel, according to the general rule of thumb in the financial space, is that take this reported inflation number, multiply it by 2, and that is oftentimes the real inflation rate that many people are feeling. So if your money is not growing by 6...
I did not know that. So you learn something new every day. And that makes a lot of sense. So going back to my previous comment, you need to really double. You really are behind. Inflation's, it's like, if you don't own assets, it's just nasty. So nasty. And you just got to earn your way through it. And you got to work a job. You got to have a couple side hustles. I mean, you got to be pulling multiple horses here. So, man. But yeah, I didn't know that.
6%, well, then you might not be seeing your savings grow fast enough to keep up with the price growth of things that you are paying for. That's why it's so important to understand this, because many people have a lot of cash here. In fact, some people have all their investments here, thinking that they're doing the safe thing, when in reality, that safe thing can oftentimes be a guaranteed loss, which is why you want to understand how and when to use this strategically and when to invest your money. So let me go over what are different types of assets that you can invest in, and then let me go over how you can save your money strategically, that way you do it smartly. And I also want to remind you that for those of you that are investors or want to become investors, I have put together a brand new free investing masterclass where I walk you through how you can get started as an investor and find hidden investment opportunities. Gold, investing in crypto, investing in startups. These are more risky than putting your money here, but with more risk, you also get more potential return. For example, historically, the stock market and the real estate market have grown by around 10% a year over the last 100 years. So that's definitely higher than the inflation numbers, which means when you put your money into those assets, assuming you find good investments, well, not only do you have the ability to keep up with inflation, but you're actually becoming wealthier because your wealth is now outpacing inflation. And if you're wondering, again, how do you invest your money? Remember, I just talked about that investing masterclass where I break it down all in there. But a couple of these assets, crypto and startups particularly, are much more on the speculative side, meaning they're more volatile. You can see big swings up and down, and you can have more risks because, well, when you invest in startups, many of those startups will fail. With cryptocurrency, it's a much newer asset class, and we don't know what it's going to.
I think he's just going to run down that list, and I'll just run it down myself. But yeah, stocks, you want to have a little bit of stocks. Personally, I don't have any stocks. That's just in the short term. Long term, I will have a portfolio. Nothing against them, just I wanted to focus on real estate. So I have all my stuff is in real estate. It will not be like that for the duration, just right now. Real estate, obviously, you got to have that. That's AI proof, in my opinion. I think people are always going to need a place to live. They're always going to need a roof over their heads, over their kids' heads. stuff like that. You want to grow old, you want to have a place, a home, blah blah blah. Real estate, in my opinion, is I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. It's becoming more unaffordable for sure, but the need is always going to be there. Till it gets in the gold, precious metals, I don't have anything outside of some collectibles or whatever, but nothing in there that I would say is worth any real value. And then you get down to crypto. Crypto, I think, is one you probably you need to have at this point. I don't know if now's a good time to get into it, but definitely something to keep your eye on. I plan on having some crypto. I don't have any now, but I will. That is the plan. Again, my approach is focus on one thing, understand it through and through. Once you got a good base level understanding, as you progress in it, take a little bit off the top and maybe, you know, just put some chips off to the side and into something else like stocks and crypto and stuff like that. Startups, how I view startups is once you get to a certain place where you are, we'll say, financially free and you have some flexibility and you can afford to take some extra risk, then I would go ahead and get into startups. In the beginning, when you're trying to build, don't know that I would do that right away. Honestly, in the beginning, I would stick to just three: stocks, real estate, and if you had a solid business idea. And you're by solid business idea, I mean something, I guess, I don't know if you want to put that in startups, but okay. It has to be a need that serves people that they actually can, hard for them to go without, right? So that's my take on it. I don't want I don't, this is a 20-minute video. I don't feel the need to unpack all of that, but that's how I see it. Don't have all your money in the bank. Buy real estate, stocks, crypto. Um, if you want to start a business. But always, whatever you're doing, have it be a funnel to something, right? So I'm doing real estate. I like real estate, but everything in my orbit, what I do, is a funnel to funnel back into real estate. Swap that out for whatever it is you want to do, whether it be crypto, stocks, whatever. If you want to own stocks and funnel those earnings into something else and grow that, fine, do that. But always, you know, be thinking like that. You want to funnel it to something. Hope that makes sense. But yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts about it. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.